I'm from Cape Town, and my entire extended family is from Cape Town as well. And the entire family, when the Group Areas Act was in force, the entire family was scattered all over the southern suburbs as well as the Cape Flats and as far as Atlantis and Mitchell's Plain. So I ended up having a family that was broken down completely from a community state, living in Constantia, steer of having to be forcefully removed and placed into areas where they had no choice. They were just posted there. I was very fortunate because my parents, we were posted at Centre area called Heathfield, Alphindale, which is in Heathfield. So my experience of Cape Town would be very different to family members of mine that ended up in Lavender Hill or Mitchell's Plain, for example. So our family members, because of being in Lavender Hill, were exposed to a life of crime and ended up having made choices that impacted the rest of their life. So it's very interesting when families get together because we all have experienced the effect of racial segregation in different ways based on the time that we experienced it. I could have been about 10 or 11. I went to a scripture union camp. I had the most amazing time. I met the most amazing young girl. We hit it off, got to know her. I discovered she lived in Bergfleet, literally 5-10 minutes walk from my house. And of course we made plans to get together afterwards, spend time, and eventually, you know, the camp ended. I phoned her, she used to phone me, and we arranged to meet. She came to my home, had a wonderful time. I went to her home, and at the time, when I obviously met her parents, that's when I realized that the relationship's not going to go anywhere, because they couldn't see past the fact that, you know, I was a non-white person. And, you know, she had to phone me to say, I can't be friends with you. My parents says I'm not allowed to. We can't see each other anymore. And we as two, 12-year-olds were trying to work it out. But I do remember being very angry at that moment because my parents were quite open and embracing. And I just assumed everybody's like that. I was very angry growing up because it was right in my face and I couldn't understand it. And I really struggled with that. In 2001, I met a very lovely young lady, and we, same age, born the same year, lived completely parallel lives. You know, as we got chatting, we became more transparent and started chatting more and more to each other about real life. She actually one day, when we were sitting over coffee and, you know, we had some tears were flowing, she said to me, you know, Colleen, I want to say sorry to you. I want to say sorry to all the negativity, the hard things, the being chased by Caspers, being whipped, seeing your friends get arrested, seeing your friends die because of the struggles, seeing you go for job interviews and turned down because you're not the right color, being denied bursary opportunities, being denied university access. I want to say sorry. It's almost as if in that moment like a big sore was healed, because when apartheid ended, we had this massive truth and reconciliation for political prisoners. People spoke about what happened to their families, and people died and things happened in the country. But for the masses in South Africa, there was no truth and reconciliation. One day there was apartheid and the one day it was gone. People never spoke about the hurts and injustices and the families broken up and things that happened to them. And there's a lot of hurts. People are carrying loads of stuff, yeah. She, well, sensed that for me, I needed to hear that. And I felt that was a very brave thing for her, a very hard thing, but it was a healing step for me. For a white person growing up in the same era as I, what I struggle with is when they try to find similarities in what they went through. Like, You know, we struggled too, and financially it was really tough, and we also had a tough upbringing, almost trying to identify with you, and you actually can't do that. Like with myself, I cannot compare myself to a black South African and what they went through, because their life was completely different. I have to have a sensitivity to people that are classified into that group, because it's different, and I constantly have to be aware, but I'm constantly confronted in my school, in my church, in my neighborhood, in my community, by a generation of my peer groups that feel it's okay for them to identify that they had struggles too. My really great friendships have developed because I've pulled in something like a third element, if I can put it that way. So it meant having to, would you like to come for coffee? I'm going to go to a pottery class. Would you like to join me? I'm going to have maybe a cooking class. Would you like to come and be part of it? I also find that when you sow into someone's need, so if someone has a need and you're able to then bless them by acts of service, and that could be picking up their children, dropping them at school, coming to wash. I had one friend, when I said, I'll come wash your dishes, I'll come hang your washing, and she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're sick. I'll come wash your dishes. Because in a time of need, you're not going to say no. You're going to take the meal and say, oh, thank you so much. You're going to accept the lift for your child. So I think from that perspective, I've used practical ways to build friendship because of that, and I've made amazing friends as a result of that.